Hi, welcome to our video series on features of programming language, and please follow the videos in sequence. This is our second or third video probably. So today we're going to talk about data types. Now, what are data types and why do we need them? Now, data types are, as I was telling in the last video, is fundamentally when you write programs, you essentially process at a very granular level. It has to do with processing numbers or strings. Now when you process those numbers, or you are essentially processing variables. Now variables can contain different type of data. It could have an integer or a number data, which is like, let's say, number data. It could be a character or a string like A, B, C, D, or it could be alphanumeric, meaning have number and character both. So let me write it. I mean, there are more, it could be something else, but right now let's assume these are the three simple or main different types of numbers or strings you can have. Now when you define a variable, sometimes you have to tell the variable what type of data it contains. The reason being is that because there is a storage implications, meaning a number let's say 1 may need a different amount of storage than a character C. So then unless you tell the computer that I'm going to store in the variable v1 a data type of number, computer or the processor has no way of knowing how much storage it has to allocate. So that's why you have to define something called data type for the variable. So what are data types? The data types are really what type of data the variables would contain. So I think that gives you a good idea, hopefully, why do we need data types. Now we just talked about very simple data types, but there are much more data types. I mean, these are number, character are sort of the main data types, but there are also different versions. So for example, number, it could be integer, it could be decimal. Also we talk about pictures. So pictures also is kind of a data to the computer. So a picture meaning an image file. Image file is a data. So and to store it, probably a computer needs a lot of storage. So there could be a different data types associated with it. So that's sort of the data types. Now different programming language will have different implementation. So for example, character and a set of characters is defined as string. So some language may have two different data types, character and string. Some language may have just one, and then string could be an extension of character, where an array of characters and things of that nature. But I think you fundamentally get the idea of data types. And think about everything computer does, it has to be some sort of mapped to a certain type of data type. So for example, if you're storing an image, that also has to be some sort of a data type. So after data types comes loops. So now we are getting into more when you're writing a program, you have to define different ways to solve problems, right? And one of the things which you may essentially use a lot of times is loop. So what is basically a loop? Now in our simple example so far we are doing sum, right? Sum, you do 1 plus 1. But what if you have to do this 1 plus 1 maybe 100 times, or maybe you have to add a number 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way up to 100. So now you can just keep on doing you can define variable v1 equal to 1, variable v2 equal to 2, variable v3 equal to 3, and all, then do v1 plus v2 plus v3 all the way. Or you can think that, okay, so I know I have to calculate from 1 to 100, right? And then why not just define an array up to 100 number, or why not just repeatedly add one number, first number, to the next number. So for example, when you are talking about number 1 and you try to find what is the next number 1 by adding 1 plus the number which you're dealing with, and then just do it repeatedly till you reach number 100. So how do you do it? You have no way of doing it this. You have to continuously repeat, and the repeat operations are done with the help of loop. So any programming language has to support loops. So typical structure of a loop would be something like, there could be different syntax associated with it. One could be while. So while, they will have something like while let's say variable v1 is less than 100, do something, v1 equal to, or v2 equal to, or v sum equal to v1 plus 1, and then you can add v1 equal to v1 plus 1. So what you are essentially doing is that you are adding v1 repetitively by 1. You are adding 1 to the v1, and then you are just keep on adding the value of v1 to another number, v sum, to calculate the final sum. So essentially what we are doing is really something called looping, because when you are doing something repetitively, that's called looping. So as you see here, this approach was involved no looping, it was just a flat. But where we're doing the looping, we were able to solve the problem in 4 lines. In this particular case, you have to probably define 100 variables causing 100 lines. So loop is essentially a very important feature which used a lot. So that's about loops. Now again, this is one syntax, but different languages have different syntax, and then there are also other features available within loop where when you are doing the loop, if the certain conditions are met, you can exit the loop, or you can just skip when you are skipping certain numbers within the loop, and those a lot of things. But essentially, fundamentally, at a broad level, what really it is done is that it does a operation repetitively. So our next topic is similar to loops, is something called conditional statements. So we will discuss that in our next video. Thank you.